Hello everyone, this is Jake from Five Paranormal. I hope everyone is doing well as we are now into fall and summer's gone, which, summer is my favorite time of year, so the fact that it's gone, we're already into fall is kind of sad. Especially here in Virginia, it went from being 85 degrees and sunny, perfect weather, to now it's like 60 degrees, foggy outside, and just cold and miserable. But that's Virginia, it doesn't give you a heads up on the weather when it's going to change. It's just, one day it's nice weather, you're out, playing tennis, taking photos, doing something fun like that, and the next day, you're not doing that. You're inside with 3 layers of clothes on, the space heater's running, watching a good scary movie. But on the topic of scary movies, Halloween is coming up, and we are working on a few projects that you all will not want to miss, trust me. The main title of this video is my new documentary, and obviously that's what we're going to talk about, because as of right now, it is September 23rd, and I am in the planning stages of my next documentary. Now, the plan for it right now is for it to be released either a few days before Halloween or maybe like a week before Halloween, because I feel like people are going to be too busy during Halloween to, take the time to watch an hour to an hour and a half long documentary. So, I'd like it to be up a few days before. I'm kind of aiming between about 7 days before Halloween to about 3 days before Halloween. I know if I remember right, Halloween's on a Saturday, so if I could release it sometime like Thursday, actually Wednesday or Thursday, I think would be a really good day for it. I would love to hear your thoughts on when I should release the next documentary. Comment below. Or what you can do is you can go on Facebook. You can message us at facebook.com/5paranormal. I would love to hear your input on this. And then also, if you have any ideas for a location you would like to see us investigate or go film at, please let us know. We're always open to suggestions. We love hearing about new locations and new stories and stuff like that. But the Roundhouse documentary, first off, what did you think about it? Pause the video, comment your thoughts on it below, what you liked about it, what you didn't like about it, be as harsh as be as honest as possible. That's what I want, whether it's, good criticism, bad criticism. I just want to hear feedback on it, because that's the only way that, I can improve as, not just a paranormal investigator, but also as a filmmaker, because filming a regular paranormal episode versus a paranormal documentary, it's different. When we do our File series, that's styled a lot like TV shows. I've studied filmmaking, the film process, how stuff is put together, how it's organized. And then I've also researched how TV shows are put together, how they're stylized. I've seen so many paranormal shows over the years, and I just kind of, I wanted to look at the behind the scenes of shows like Ghost Adventures, Destination Fear, and the original Ghost Hunters. And I kind of wanted to blend those 3 elements, but I also wanted to blend those elements, maybe like 40% those elements into it, and then 60% my elements. Is kind of what, we do with the File series, because that's, supposed to kind of mirror television. But this documentary, it's very different. The Roundhouse documentary was something that the days before the investigation, I was not 100% sure, even like 3 or 4 days before, how I wanted to approach it. Because, I had an idea that I was going to kind of style it like, you see paranormal shows. They have, sometimes there's a cool opening with a really good hook, like the scariest moment from the episode, from the program. And then they'll do, like a host introduction. They might do a historical introduction. But the format typically goes hook, history, funny moment or something to kind of get you acclimated to the crew and the host, and then investigation, and then review at the end. And so I kind of wanted to follow that formula, because I went and watched the original Ghost Adventures documentary. I don't know why I said that wrong. The phrasing of that was just off. But I was kind of looking at that. And then I was looking at some other people's documentaries, that they had done on YouTube. There were so many groups I looked at, big groups that have like, tens of thousands, hundreds of thousands of followers, down to people with a few hundred subscribers. And I wanted to get an idea of what everyone was doing, because I think you can learn something from every program you watch, even if it's the worst movie you've ever seen, the worst TV show you've ever seen. You can't stand to watch another second of it. I still think there's something you can learn and apply to your projects that, you might look back and say, hey, that piece of media I watched really sucked, but if I hadn't learned that lesson from it, this project wouldn't have turned out as good as it did. So, and trust me, some of the documentaries I watched were not the world's greatest, but, you do learn a lot. You learn sometimes what works, you learn what doesn't work. And then the really tough part about it, and this is something that, there's really no guide how to make a paranormal documentary. So, it's just kind of, you really style it the way you want to. But the toughest part is when you're on an investigation, there is a certain way that you do things. There is, it's kind of like a pro athlete. There's a routine that they get into before a game, during a game, and then an after game. And they do this so that they stay comfortable, they stay confident and in control, and that they're, performing at their peak performance. So we do, Chris and I, we do that on our investigations. We do have a bit of a routine that we do. It's not as regimented, I guess, as pro athletes. We kind of do ours without thinking. We just, it's what we've always done on investigation. We just kind of fall into those habits. And, when we have our focus is 100% on that. We're getting our equipment geared up, we're getting the batteries, inventoried, we're getting we're cycling out the old batteries, putting in the fresh batteries. We're, while we're doing this, Chris and I'll be like, hey, we should probably try this. Hey, how about we do this or do that? And, that's typically how we do it. But when you're filming, you've got that other element. You have to always be aware of the camera. The camera, if you're not careful, the camera will rule your investigation. And that's not good, because you don't want the camera to rule a paranormal investigation, because the camera, it's there to tell a story of your investigation. So the way I see it is, the investigation is the core, the important thing. The camera is just kind of there to record it all. So, you try to keep things as normal and as routine as you can, because, if you start changing for the camera that's now there, then it does come off as fake. And you run the risk of, you want to be an actor instead of an actual investigator. And that was something that I was very worried about leading up to the investigation. I even told Caitlin many, many times, as we were getting ready for the investigation, days before, even on the drive up there, I was like, we need to be as normal as possible. There has to be a balance to where we're aware of the camera and, we're staying in frame. We're not doing anything that, looks stupid on camera, but we're also trying to be true to ourselves as not just individuals, but also as paranormal investigators. And, I made it very clear early on that the investigation was still the most important part of the entire thing. I wanted the investigation to go well more than I wanted the documentary to go well, because, even if, like the thing with my documentary, I go back and watch it, which this documentary, the Roundhouse one, is the only one that I've ever went back and actually watched. Most of our videos that we put out here, I'll watch them as I'm editing them, just make sure that, they look fine and all stuff. There's no errors or crap like that. But once they're released, I usually do not watch them. It's just, there's something about seeing myself on camera and hearing my voice. I just, I kind of cringe, because I'm a perfectionist. I can always pick out 100 things wrong, even if something, people are telling me, this is perfect, this is great. I had a lot of people, it was really cool of them telling me, hey, this documentary is one of the best documentaries I've ever seen, regardless of the subject. It's really, really cool that people were saying that, especially for my very first one. But, it's every time I would, appreciate and, thank them for that. In my mind, I'm like, yeah, but you could have done this. You could have done that. It could have been better. And so, like, the biggest thing for me is lighting. The lighting sucked in the Roundhouse documentary. I'm just going to say that. The lighting sucked. Sound was meh. I did have a mic that I tried to use. It's a Rhodes mic. I forget the model name, but I got it for Christmas last year, and I've only used it once because for some reason it's a shotgun mic with the little windproof thing on. I forget the technical term for it, but you know what I'm talking about. You've seen other people's rigs have it, but the mic is just really sensitive, and I'm sure I would have to put it in Audacity, which is actually what I'm recording this video into now. My voice just sounds really tinny. And it's really weird because, I already think that my voice comes across higher pitch, when I record these videos anyway. But I just haven't figured out the Rhodes mic. That's probably my fault, my error. I just need to, practice with it more. And then I do have a lavalier mic. It's supposed to be, really professional. It is a good mic. I've used it on a few tests, and it is good. I just need to get used to, the placement of it, it being there. And I wanted to use it for this documentary, but I was so worried that I would hook it up and I would do something wrong because I was focusing on some other stuff that, I wouldn't have any of the audio recorded. So I was like, I'll kind of take the sound quality from the camera because my Nikon D5600, it's a really good camera. This isn't sponsored by Nikon or anything, but, Nikon, if you're listening, wouldn't mind a sponsorship. Anyway, it's a really great DSLR, and it's great for taking video. And the microphone, it's not the best microphone in the world, I will say that, but it's good, and it does get the job done. I was really impressed with how it did on the investigation. And then also, I used my older Canon camera. About 80% of the videos you see on our channel, especially from, we'll say June of this year back until about 2015, 2016, was filmed with a Canon camera, camcorder. It's pretty good. Looking at the technical specs of it, it's not the world's greatest, but it gets the job done. I was really impressed with how it did. It came in clutch at the Roundhouse, but the main thing, aside from lighting and sound, was I had my frame rate, actually my shutter speed wrong on my camera. And that's why if you really look at it, the movements, especially in the interview part when we were interviewing Michael about the history of the place, it looks jittery. It looks off a little bit. And the reason for that is typically you always double, if I remember right, it's the frames per second, which I was shooting at 24 frames per second, which I probably should have been shooting at 60. But I like the cinematic look of 24. And also I'm used to 24. So you're supposed to double that. That's what I've always heard. So what I should have done, 1/50th. That's what I should have done. I didn't. I was messing with some of the settings, and some of them were messed up. It didn't get the look I want. And then also, we're in the Roundhouse. Yeah, part of it was kind of dark, part of it was light. I put my trust in the camera, and I, did the crazy thing of switching it to auto. And I just kept it on, portrait mode. I made sure that, Michael was always in focus, or whoever was in front of the camera was in focus. Now, the investigation footage that I recorded with that camera, which was weird, I didn't record a lot of footage with it because every time I'd use it, something would keep draining the batteries from it. It's pissing me off, honestly. But I actually recorded the investigation portion, when I used the Nikon D56, I actually did it in manual mode. This was also because, and you heard us talk about it in the documentary, it wouldn't let me take photos for some reason. And, I guess the spirits just didn't want to be on camera, the Nikon camera, maybe because camera would have been good enough to pick them up. But, my new documentary, it's going to improve on all of those things. I do have a few locations that I'm working towards and that I have in mind. There's one location. We've been there several times, and I'm not going to say it simply because, I don't want to get anyone's hopes up, or I don't want to, commit to something that, might not be doable before Halloween. But there's this one location. I've already talked to the people about, maybe setting something up there. I don't know if we'd be able to do it by Halloween That would be the only issue. In this location, it probably would be me and, one other person. We might have someone else. I'm not sure yet. Kind of when it comes to this stuff, I want to make sure I have the location first, and then I kind of want to look at how I'm going to plan everything. But my next documentary, it is going to be in a similar style to the Roundhouse. I really liked that format. I thought it flowed really well. I liked that, it was a pretty good ending because we did have the evidence scattered throughout. And, at the very end, I thought about adding a section where it was just, all the evidence we recorded from there. But, that actually added on, an extra, I think it was like 8 to 10 minutes. I was like, let's not do that because it messes with the flow of the documentary. And so, I've kind of been spacing that stuff out, uploading to our YouTube channel. So this video has gone on a lot longer than I thought it would be, but I would love to hear your all's thoughts on this. First of all, what you think of the Roundhouse documentary? I'd love to hear your thoughts on that. And where would you like to see us do our next investigation, or Five Files, or a paranormal documentary? And also, that's another thing. What would you like to see us do next? Would you like to see us do another Five Files episode, or another paranormal documentary, kind of in, the style of the Roundhouse? Leave your thoughts below. But from Five Paranormal, I'm Jake. I hope you all have a great day. Don't forget to leave a like if you enjoyed the video, comment below, and be sure to subscribe. And have a great day, everyone.